Hello, everyone, and welcome to Multiplane Podcast. I'm Val,
I'm Ty.
and this is our episode where we break down Moon Knight episode 4, and there are going to be all of the spoilers. So we just want to tell you right now, if you have not seen Moon Knight episodes 1, 2, 3, or 4, we're going to talk about them. Mostly 4, but there's a few things we'll have to touch on in the ones leading up to kind of chat about that. So all the spoilers, come back. Watch it on our YouTube, on our Facebook page later if you haven't watched it yet, because we're going to get into it. And Ty has just been like, as soon as he watched it, he's messaging me, and I'm like, slow your roll and keep this for the show. And I apologize to everyone. I know last week I said we're going to see you same time, same bat place next Monday. I got home from Canada, from Calgary yesterday morning, and I'm like, I'm going to take a nap. That nap was supposed to be an hour. It lasted 5 hours. I slept right through the show. Ty's like, hello, hello, are you there? Nope, I was not there. So I also want to say, Ty, we have not seen each other in person for a while.
I know.
And I
We're
feel
due for a
like
movie or something.
I feel like we need to do a movie. And just in case it doesn't entice you just to come see me in a movie, I do have things that you need to pick up from me to see me. So here's your pin, your special edition pin we talked about last week. Sorry, there's a shine on it. The Hunchback. And I've been meaning to give this to you since last year, remember?
I totally think I left that at your place when I came over for the barbecue that we did.
Yep.
I
So
think we both were like, you were
yeah.
busy trying to host everything, and I was busy just
Yeah.
talking to everybody.
Yeah, having a good time like you're supposed to have. But I also wanted to show off some other things that I have before we jump into it. Is that cool?
Go for it. Let's see it.
So this is my Eternals special pin set, which I thought was really neat. It has all of the Eternals in there. This is my favorite one. This was my priciest pin investment of the year. And this is the Spider-Man. You take these out and you can intermix the pins.
Okay, that's cool.
And this one I got specifically to trade. These are huge pins.
Those are almost like the fig pins that they sell. They're like this big,
Which
huh?
I have one. Want to see it? I got my first one when I was at Disneyland with Sammy. And I got
I've resisted. I've seen
Steamboat
a bunch
Willie.
of them. What?
Steamboat Willie.
Did I tell you? So Sammy was messaging me about pins.
No, you didn't tell me this.
Yeah, me and Sammy have been talking about pins behind your back.
Yay. That's fine. I don't care.
And I showed her a picture of some of the pins that I have because I want some of her extra mansion ones that she has because
Oh
that's
yeah,
like
you guys are gonna do some trades.
yeah. But she noticed my Steamboat Willie one. That's the first one. She's like, "What about that Steamboat Willie?" And I'm like, "That is my pride and joy. That pin will stay with me forever."
I got her this one for Easter, and I got me one too. I'm
Is
sorry
that
to glare. It's up.
up?
And they're in the living room together. Yeah. So yeah, I've got a whole bunch. I have a problem. And now that I'm at these like nerdy conventions, it's even harder. Luckily, not a lot of people sell Disney pins at conventions.
Well, it's even at FanX. I know of one booth that's like
There used to be a lot, but they were not real. A lot of them were fake pins. So they're really they hinkered down, which I'm really happy that they did, because a lot of people don't know what they're looking for. And so I was like, some of these dealers do not have real pins, so they only have the one there that has the legitimate license and they're real. So
we're gonna go over this, guys, because we are gonna do a pin episode.
We are, and we have a special guest that's gonna be on it. So
like pin trading, there's a lot to be talked about between all of us with pin trading. So that's coming up, and we can talk about how to recognize, those counterfeits, so that you're not getting like your really nice pin that you're trading. You're not going to sit and trade it and be like, oh, I just got, there are those people out there.
A couple of years ago at FanX, I did a panel on pin trading, and I actually bought a whole bunch of pins. Because this is what a lot of people do. You go to Amazon or you go to eBay before you go to the parks, and you buy a whole bunch of really inexpensive pins so you can trade them. But the thing is a lot of people don't know what to look for when you get those packs and what to look for in the park when you're trading.
Mm-hmm.
And so I bought everyone that came to the panel, they got to pick a pin. And then I chose a lot of the pins to show them which ones are not real, what to look for, what are the extra special things, what a special edition pin is. So yeah, we're going to have a whole show on that. And maybe we should do another one of those panels at FanX. Maybe I'll pitch that because a lot of people just don't know. And it's so much fun. It's so much fun Sammy and I have been doing it together since she was 8. And now she's seriously like she's on 4 or 5 different pin trading groups on Facebook, watching all the auctions and doing all this stuff and trading with people all over the world. Like they trade with each other and ship them back and forth, and it's so much fun. So it can get pricey though. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited. All right, so this is one of those episodes. If you're just tuning in, we are going to talk about Moon Knight. This is the Disney Plus series. And we are talking about specifically, we're going to break down episode 4. We are going to talk about spoilers.
Oh, episodes 1 through 3 tie into 4. I can say that
so,
right now.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about that, but really break down what 4 means. And this is also one of those episodes where I'm going to be going like this. And if you're listening, if you're not watching it, but you're listening to the podcast, I'm going to tell you what I think about the show. Ty is going to tell you what everything means. Is basically like I'm going to give you the critique, and he's going to give you the meaning of everything. So here we go, Ty. Break it down a little bit.
This is just the fun part of the show. Like I enjoy that your knowledge base is with just what's been put in the MCU. And it's like you said, it's been a fun thing where you can watch it and see it unravel, but then I sit and point things out.
Yeah.
And hopefully for some of our listeners, it elevates the way that you're watching these shows.
It elevates the way I watch the shows. I love it because we have 2 totally different skill sets, which is great. Like we're both fans. And the one reason why our show, I think, works so well, not to toot our own horn, but I'm going to do it, is because we both have different backgrounds. We're both fans. You know so much about the deeper inner workings of the stories from the comics. And I know mostly about the cinematic universe and then just how things are made. Because I went to film school. You also do special effects, makeup, and costumes, and like all that stuff. And so we kind of grab everything that we know, and then we pull things apart on how much we love it, and or sometimes when Ty hates it.
Yeah, more or less, I'm the one who hates stuff. But okay, going into the episode, it was a real big cliffhanger. I loved the end of episode 3, where it's that last scene we have Steven and Khonshu, doing the night illusion to get the exact night sky of when they're trying to find the Shopti of Omnet.
Right.
So I loved that scene.
It was really cool how if this is your first time kind of getting into this kind of story, if you're a lover of anything that's treasure hunting, movies or series, this series will get you. This character will grab you because there's so many of those different things like you would find in National Treasure.
You're getting Raiders
of the Lost
Mummy.
Ark, Mummy, all of that stuff. So yeah, I really liked that as well.
So like I said, starting off with that scene where they're pulling back to that specific night to get coordinates, the one thing that I love is how close it ties in Steve and Mark to Khonshu, where they're both moving. Suddenly you see Steven's mask completely fade off, and then you see parts of Khonshu fade off, and it shows you how close they are tethered. Dropping in to where he, passes out. Khonshu says, "When you find Mark, have him release me." Then we pan over to episode 4, where beforehand, guys, Val got to see this before me. So she was like, "Dude, this is really going to blow your mind." And I'm sitting here thinking, okay, what is possibly going to what's
and
that
I
trigger
couldn't say
be?
anything because if I said anything, you wouldn't have been able to experience. Like, how do you tease what this episode is without pretty much giving it away, right? Except we're just saying it's a game changer. Like it just changes everything.
So we come into the episode and Mark and Steven are passed out. Layla's trying to, wake them up. We have some of the henchmen come in with a truck with a gun strapped to it, start firing at them.
Yeah.
She pulls a Jurassic Park move with the flare. Distracts the guys, throws another flare on their ammo box, blows everything up, which is kind of not realistic, but adventurous hijinks. So
yes.
Then we have Steven wake up, or sorry, it's not even Steven, it's Mark that wakes up.
Yeah.
And then, well, is it Steven? No, it's still Steven. Yeah, not Mark. It's still Steven.
Oh yeah.
And then they have the coordinates.
It's Steven because
it's Steven.
It's Steven. Mm-hmm.
Because he's like, I'm not giving you the body back yet.
Yeah.
And so they go after Omnet's location. He thinks it's just going to be a little cozy drive, but then it's like they drive for 5 minutes. Nope, we're walking the rest of the way. They go in, they pillage and plunder the camp for supplies. Then we have a moment where Steven shoots a shot. Really awkward kiss. Mark takes over for a few seconds and just socks him in the face.
Yeah.
That kiss was awkward. I'm not gonna lie.
I think it was supposed to be awkward.
No, it had to be. I was just cringing.
Awkward. He's awkward. Yeah.
I was cringing watching it. Anyways, we get down in the tomb, and super, super again heavy Raiders vibes from this, and I feel we can keep tagging Raiders of the Lost Ark in it because
which isn't bad. Like it's if
Disney
you're gonna
property,
if you're gonna bring some good vibes in, it's a good one.
So then we're going in. We find the passageway with the 6 different doors, which symbolize the Eye of Horus. I love mythology.
Yeah.
I love different. That's another reason why I like this. I'm super into the Mummy. We're going to get into this here in a little bit, where if any of you guys have read any Rick Riordan, who is working on another mythology piece for Disney right now, Kane Chronicles, that's where I'm going to pull my references from. You have the Eye of Horus, and they're kind of doing all this fun archaeological stuff where it's like, okay, taste, voice mouth, or the mouthpiece of Omnet. They go into this chamber where it's like the mummification chamber. And this is where I'm really getting into this, because I'm like, oh boy, we're getting some monsters.
And this, I have to say, this scene was so much fun. Like, just knowing what was coming, but also at the same time not. Like, being in there, that it's not a place they're supposed to be, right? But you also know, you start seeing things that, wait, something was alive here fairly recently, right? And you see all of the different containers that things go in, but then you see fresh blood and you're like, wait a second, what's going to happen?
Well, even, Steven turns around and he's like, oh, is that's fresh blood and little meaty bits.
Yep, meaty bits.
This is really fun because I don't think a lot of people know about Marvel's monster history and their monster comics they used to publish back in the 70s. So, like, it's fun that these newer hero ones, I hope, one day they could even pull side projects and do some monster projects. They're going to probably do a special one here in October, Werewolf by Night, but they've literally dealt with everything from Dracula was a major, major thing for Marvel. And I'm sure we'll get that with Blade and hopefully some Midnight Sun movies coming out. I mean,
with the end of Eternals, there was some sneaky peeks in there.
And then you have the Living Mummy, Brother Voodoo, who's another Doctor Strange character that's very monster-esque. But yeah, we have this mummy that drags one of the henchmen that we see in the previous episodes. He was a cop. And he was one of the little henchmen who was like, oh, I'm an officer, but I'm going to bend my authority to do this guy's bidding.
Right.
He's slapped on the table. Next thing you know, we see him getting like gutted. Yeah. And his parts are being stuffed into jars, which It's a PG-13
Yeah, it's
way to
not
do it.
I don't like gruesome, and for me, it looked really cool because the monster is cool and his hands, like, doing that was really cool, and I'm just watching it like, "Okay, Ty is gonna be pulling, like,
I
this."
was geeking out.
Yeah, I'm watching the whole time, and I'm just thinking, "Okay, it's just gonna be, again, just me, like." But it's because it's so cool because often you see let's just talk about monster movies for just a sec, right? A lot of
Yeah.
times in monster movies, and a few that I saw last year, they don't show the monster for very long because creating a monster that is realistic, that looks realistic for something that's a little lower budget. And this isn't huge, this isn't high budget, right? Moon Knight.
No.
There have been some things that I've seen. It hasn't bothered me too much where I'm like, okay, I can see where the green screen kind of is here. I can, that's, but it doesn't take me out enough. It's moving quick enough. So I was like, okay, this monster is either going to be really cool or kind of hokey. All the monsters in this series so far have been really cool.
So that's the thing. It's like a mummy. It's fun to work with because I've done one in the past. I have one planned here in the near future that I'm going to be doing. I'm just waiting for the right backdrop to take my shots with or film it or somewhat. But mummies are fun because literally you can make something out of just little elements and components. Literally, mummy, you're thinking, okay, either a ton of aged bandages, some cool Egyptian, attire or jewelry. This one I really liked because it was dark, leathery skin, and then it was the
Yeah.
movements on it too.
Yeah.
From
Yeah.
the creature
I
actor, the
just really
hunched
like,
kind of,
yeah. And how he scooped the stuff, he scooped it like,
and then it was the noise too.
yeah.
The sound projection she was making
Yeah.
sounded like a dried up throat that was trying to either breathe or make some noises.
Hmm.
And the twitching, just it was really fun to watch this creature. And then the anticipation that you get when Layla's hiding behind the table and she tips the jar, and it's
Hmm.
it's a classic trope. You're
Yes.
hiding, you make a slight noise, the
Uh-huh.
monster's coming to get you, but then someone else is like, wait.
Yeah,
It's a
but
classic.
we don't know if he's gonna do that or not, right? Because it's a question on, will he have courage enough to do that?
Yeah,
So
where
when
it's
he
Steven and not Mark.
exactly, and so I really liked that, and I really thought that was smart because, yes, he got out of there, but they made him still kinda clumsy getting out of there because he's not all of a sudden gonna be, this guy that can just get somewhere quick. You know what I mean? And so I really liked the fact that they still followed with the personality, um, because he's pretty much 3 people now. You know what I mean?
We're gonna get into that. He's
Right.
not 3 people yet.
But
We're hoping.
yeah, I mean, he is.
But and that's what I'm wondering is I think number 3 has made an appearance, but we haven't talked with him yet.
Right, right.
Um, sorry, I'm just trying to pan into the next. All right,
You're
so
fine, you're
then
fine.
we have the monster that realizes, oh, there's other people in here. I'm gonna gut them, and that does that really cool thing where it latches up on the boards underneath Steven,
Yeah.
and he's crawling up. But then he notices Layla. Layla runs through the one door that they weren't trying to go through. The thing jumps down to go get Layla, and then Steven out of nowhere shoves this entire table on this thing and crushes it.
Mhm. I'm gonna do one picky thing.
Go for it.
This little place, and especially where Steven was hiding at, was way too clean.
Was it though?
I mean, it was messily, things were messily placed, but I didn't see cobwebs and dust. And when he jumped up to grab onto it, like, dust should have, gone.
And I guess I'm gonna go back and
But
watch
maybe
that
it's
because
because it was damp. I don't know what it's like in there. I don't know. Maybe it's sealed so well, but he's been pulling things in and out and killing them. But this is also the thing. When you're trying to create something that looks visually cool with all the different colorings and shadows and everything they have, sometimes they won't put everything in there that would be correct about the moment because they're just hoping that you care so much that it looks cool. And again, this was me being picky after the fact. When I was watching it, I was like, this is cool. And I'm just like, watch, run, 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 go, go, go. Oh, look, And then later when I had to go back and kind of think, okay, but let's really look at, critique it, which is my job. That was
You're
the
like, where's
only
the
thing.
dust? Where's the
That was the only
cobwebs?
thing. Like, it was a little dirty, but for being there for as long as it was and for killing things, does he mop up after himself every time he kills? Or should there be more stuff everywhere? You know what I mean? I don't know. Anyway, again, that's just me being picky. Don't send me hate mail.
It
That's my
was
job.
humid in there though, because like even if you look at Alexander's tomb area, there's water.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. Anyway,
yeah.
move on.
Anyways, moving on to Layla going through the door and whatnot. She has like and again another Indiana Jones moment where she comes to this chasm and it's just open. She has to make some leaps. Oh, soon I could tell you, as soon as it showed the slits in between the rocks, I'm
Yeah.
like, there's something that's gonna lunge out of there. I don't know what it is yet, but I feel like whether it's a booby trap or a mummy or something's gonna lunge
Something.
out of there.
Yeah.
That was really cool. And again, you got the little classic trope of, oh, we're gonna slightly show something behind the wall.
Yep.
Then of course she gets right next to the empty void. Boom.
Yeah.
Pulls her in. But it's fun because typically it's like a one and done. Oh, they've pulled the character in, she's captured, like,
Yeah.
we're done.
Yeah.
But no, then she pops out again, gets dragged back in a second time, only to come out the third time with a severed hand, which is awesome. And then you get to see this other mummy that comes out that still has its trying to remember their names. It's pretty much just like they protect the tomb. It's like a soldier with the face mask on, rips it off. And again, the makeup on this was awesome. This just black withered husk of a once human being. The fight was awesome. I liked how they used his stub that had the sharp bone. It's like, oh, okay, you took my hand. I'm going to use this as a weapon. Starts lunging in at her and then tosses it over the ledge there. And then, of course, we have to have her fall. And we're like, oh no, Layla. But then we come to the scene where I have to find his name real quick. Our main villain. I'm trying to find his name.
Oh, yes. I love that character. I love that actor so much.
Yeah. Here we go.
I was leaving it up to you to have all the things, so I'm sorry.
It's the one thing I don't have was his name.
Oh, man. I've got like a little fruit fly in here.
Harrow. There we go. Ethan Hawke plays him.
Yeah.
But yeah, Harrow. Harrow shows up and he starts playing mind games, right?
Yes.
And we learned that, okay, Mark was one of the mercenaries involved with the father's death. She's questioning again, because this is, since she has come into the story, it's a constant, okay, are you lying to me, Mark? Or is this legit? Are you lying or this legit? Then right after that, we find Stephen, who finds Alexander the Great's tomb. And again, does his archaeological stuff, comes in, opens the tomb. I love how he's using his brain, and he's like, okay, well, if he's the voice of Omnet, the Shopti's going to be down the throat. See him uncover this cool prop zombie, bust his jaw, reach down in there, pull out the Shopti. And then we get to the point where we have the conflict with Layla and Mark.
Yeah.
It's like, were you involved? Were you involved? Did you kill my dad?
Yeah. Luckily, I didn't even think of that, but as soon as they brought it up, I was like, oh my gosh, that was totally set up and kind of showing us all these points throughout the series that of course he was there, right?
And then we learn, luckily, I think if he would have said, yeah, I accidentally killed your dad, I think all ties would have been severed there. But luckily he wasn't the killer, even though he led the killer there.
Yeah.
Putting a strain on that relationship between those two.
Another strain.
Another strain, which I think is going to come into play in the next couple episodes. But Steven's kind of just standing there as a bystander being like, Well, no. What are you talking about? We have to leave now.
Yeah, don't have this conversation now. We got to get out of here.
And it backfires. And I think she takes the Shopti.
Yeah.
From what I
Mm-hmm.
had
Visualized.
She has the Shopti. She's hiding, and hopefully she, makes it out that side door that's right behind her,
Mm-hmm.
and back into the room where the squashed mummy's now at.
Yeah.
But then, Harrow says, "Hey, just give me the Shopti and we're all good." But then, he's like, "Nope, I can't do that." Big shocker, guys. He gets shot twice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Falls into the pool of water behind us. You see him kind of slowly going into the water.
Which was a really, really cool shot. Like,
oh, yeah.
that visually was, I watched it twice. Just that spot, just to look at it.
Just rewind it.
Yeah.
And then we get our big twist. We have Mark that wakes up in a mental institution.
Mm-hmm.
And now, so this is fun. I'll have to find for a new person. So for Val and some of you guys who are listening who have never dealt with this storyline before, this is one of the fun teases of this character. This episode is meant to make you question, was everything that just happened in episodes 1 through 4,
did it actually happen?
Did it happen? Or was it all going on in Mark's head?
Mm-hmm. It was very, to me, it was very 12 Monkeys. Like, it had that moment where, I don't know if you've seen 12 Monkeys.
I don't think I have.
Brad Pitt and Bruce Willis. Oh my gosh, you need to see this movie.
12 Monkeys. Okay.
Yes, you need to see it. So it was, if you've seen that movie, it gave me some of those vibes for a little bit. But yeah, so I'm watching it and I'm like, what? So you see him in a chair and he's just out of it. And then you see all the characters from what we've seen for the past 3 episodes be different people that he sees in this mental institution, down to a TV show where he watches that's kind of an Indiana Jones show that has Steven's name as the main character of the show. And then his doctor, his therapist in the mental institution is Ethan Hawke's character, which I thought was brilliant.
But here's the thing. This episode is meant to bend your mind.
Mm-hmm.
It's trying to create multiple possibilities of what has been
Matrix.
happening. Literally, it's a Matrix effect where it's like messing with your mind.
Inception, Matrix, all that stuff.
Yeah. It's a cluster. And it's fun because if you really, really just pay attention and even rewind a couple times and see different things around the mental hospital, you're like, oh my gosh, this could totally all be in his head. Like, it can lead to the conclusion, like, this is in his head, because you see the lady who is running the museum. She's sitting in a chair. She's snuggling a stuffed scarab, which we saw in episode 1. Right.
Yes.
And then there's the cupcake tray that, the cupcake truck that they stole. And then you have a girl who draws a hummingbird with Khonshu's head. Other things. Oh, there was the postcards that was on the board that he thought was the postcards that the mom was sending on holiday.
Yes. Yeah.
And then you have, even there's the 3 little, I think either pudding bowls or something that's red, yellow, and blue that we literally had just seen for the first time in this episode, where Steven was hiding.
Mm-hmm.
Up on the table that had, the person that had the snake skin sewn in. There was 3 little chalk bowls full of like blue, yellow, red chalk. There's all these fun little things that are popping around. And one that I've had to read on and go back and forth and watch and double check. If you guys watch really closely, you'll see that Leela has a Band-Aid on her pinky. So she's eating a piece of Turkish Delight, kind of like she is in episode 2.
Yeah,
3,
I think
3, 2 or 3, I want to say.
Okay.
But then you see this Band-Aid that has a little etching of a red scarab on it.
I didn't notice that. I'm gonna have to. Well, Dave hasn't seen this episode yet, so we're gonna have to watch it together.
Which is a clue to something that happens, in the books, that she might become her own hero. She might not become a vessel for Khonshu, which is what Mark is trying to prevent.
Right, and I kind of got those vibes the whole time, is that she was very much going to be like, I didn't think that even though they tease it, I didn't think that was ever going to happen.
It's a very much similar scenario to the Black Knight that we got in Eternals.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Because his family has led a long line of males who have taken up this sword, which then turns them into the Black Knight.
Yes.
This chick's bloodline is the Red Scarab.
Okay.
Basically, someone who protects the tombs and is like, hey, back off our stuff here in Egypt, kind of thing.
Because she grew up with her dad doing that.
And that's exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So we might see the embodiment of her getting her own powers through some other means. Just all these fun little nods, and then you get to the part where it's Mark and Harrow talking, being like, I can't help you if you don't want to help yourself. And you're thinking, you're waiting, right? You're waiting for something to trigger, and you're like, okay, is the villain going to do something that reveals? What if he comes out straight and he's like, I have you, Mark.
Yeah, yeah.
You're almost waiting for that kind of a reaction, right?
Right.
But then you're looking at all these different. It's funny because in his office, more
His
than anywhere
office was
else,
crazy looking.
I'm like, I don't know any shrink who would lavish that office the way that is, because it might trigger
maybe
something.
in like ones that charge a ton of money, but that was high tech, lavish, like and also just super clean, like super, super. I don't know. It was just odd. It was odd. It was very odd.
And in that room, we're getting more Egyptian stuff than anywhere else, right?
Yes.
And that's when Mark kind of, does he wake up? He thinks he does, but that's where he kind of like, oh no, where's Steven? Steven, where is he?
Yeah.
Because he can't hear him in here anymore.
Nope.
And so next thing we go to, it's the two cops who are now two of the institution wardens who are helping out.
Yeah. Orderlies.
Orderlies, yeah, thank you. He drop kicks the dude in the crotch. And then he bites the chick and escapes. You get to him running around, doing what Mark does. Sneaking around really well. He comes into a room with a sarcophagus that is screaming.
Which the sarcophagus in this series reminded me a lot of the sarcophagus that we get in oh my gosh, the Netflix series Blind Superhero, Daredevil. Remember?
Oh, yeah.
They put her in the sarcophagus and she has to break out of it. I kind of got that vibe for a minute.
All these fun little things that can tie together.
Yeah.
Then he's like, oh, okay, I guess I'll open it. And Steven's in there, the persona of Steven. And he wakes up and he's like, okay, are you real? Kind of like, what's the last thing you remember happening to us? Arrow shot us.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, okay, we're good, we're good. We're insane, but we're good.
It's like when you have one of those dreams and you finally realize, I'm dreaming. How do I wake up from this? And you can't wake yourself up from the dream, and it's so frustrating.
But then, okay, guys, here's some fun stuff. We pass another room with another sarcophagus that is screaming. For all you diehard Moon Knight fans, there was a scene in episode 3, well, a couple of scenes in episode 3 where some people die. And we don't know who did it, because Mark is like, what happened? And Steven's like, you killed him. What happened? But Mark's like, I didn't
kill him. Yeah.
What happened? This guy's is our character that we have yet to have like a voice or some kind of a characteristic come out is Jake Lockley. So there is another person hiding in that head that, for a minute we were kind of worried in the first couple episodes, because it's like, okay, we have Steven, we have Mark. Where's our third dude? Like, at least for some of the people who know the backstory, like, hey, where is Jake?
Well, and I didn't know about Jake, but I was like, wait, so he didn't do it and he didn't do it. Was this, like, what's his bucket? The spirit, like
Conchu.
Conchu stepping in and doing it through, through him, and neither of them remember it because he's just getting so out of control. You know what I mean? And so I was trying to figure out, how is this working? And so then when I heard the third screaming sarcophagus, I was like, he's three people. And I still have not gone online to look up anything because I want to be surprised as we go. And I figured you'd fill me in on anything that I needed instead of getting in and just deep diving into something that then I get. Because sometimes I feel like when you deep dive into some of the stuff online, you get things that aren't true, right?
Yeah.
Like you get, because people just kind of want to see what they want to see. And they make stuff up because they want to be cool. So,
Well, so let me explain how this trinity works here.
okay.
You have Mark, who is the muscle, the agent, the kind of like go-getter guy.
Mm-hmm.
Steven, who is the brain. So Mark is the bronze. Steven is the brains, who, has the archaeological background, knows his Egyptian stuff, is able to kind of intellectually aid in that spot. Jake Jake's your rat.
Jake will do whatever he gets paid to do.
He's a taxi driver, right? So Mark was a mercenary. Steven was a gift shop guy at the British Museum. Jake is a taxi driver, and he has like the scoop on the underground, right? He's the guy with the ear to the ground who can like hear about the shady stuff that goes on underneath normal, like under police like supervision, whatever. They're out trying to bust crime, but it's like Jake's that rat guy.
Okay.
He's the ears who can get information, and then it's up to like Mark to do something or Steven to figure something out. So, and we have yet to see any kind of a Moon Knight version of Jake. We've yet to have Oscar Isaacs come out and do a different voice. I'm imagining, so we got Mark. What would you say Mark kind of is? Like his accent?
I mean, Mark's just like he's the ultimate, like, from the East Coast, somebody you'd see in a Bond movie, but not British. Like, he is kind of like that. His accent's just, I don't know, East Coast American.
I'm wondering if our Jake is going to be like a New Jersey guy.
Yeah, I mean,
he's a taxi driver.
If you're going to follow the trope, then yeah.
So I'm waiting to see some kind of a New Jersey accent come out of the character. But the problem is they did not stop and open that third sarcophagus.
No, they ran right past it. I'm like, wait a second, what are you doing? Because even, I feel like, to me, even if they don't know that it's one of them, I feel like Steven wouldn't just run past somebody screaming to get out at this point. Like,
when he was just stuck in a sarcophagus screaming.
Yeah, because he doesn't know where she is. He doesn't know where, I don't understand why they would why Steven would run past it. Mark, I understand, but Steven?
Yeah. But then we have both of them sitting together and they see the shape behind a door and they're getting closer and closer. And then you have the goddess Tarot open up. And if you guys don't know who Tarot, or I think it's Teruet, I'm trying to be accurate here. Yeah. Teruet, she is the goddess of fertility, protection over, I think it's just protection. Anyways, here's where I'm going to pull some of my tabs from Rick Riordan. If any of you guys have read the Kane Chronicles, and I can see them using this similar storyline. In the Kane Chronicles, the two main characters end up in what's like an in-between of life and death. They're not dead, but they're not alive. They're just floating down on the river to find the sun god Ra. But they come to a mental institution where Terret is taking care of all the lesser gods who have been forgotten. And let's hurry and fast track and rewind to the beginning of this episode. We see Khonshu's Shopti being put on its shelf, and you see Osiris pause for a minute. And I'm thinking that's a pause of him wondering, was this right? Have we trapped too many of our own? I'm trying to remember their names. The Anit is kind of the group of the gods. There's a lot of them sitting on shelves.
Right.
And so I'm wondering if that pause was him like, okay, have we gone too far? Are the rules too strict to where we have imprisoned nearly all of our other god comrades? You notice, though, there is a Shopti for Terret on that shelf. And so what if Khonshu is also hiding, or not hiding, being kept in this place, just in his own little purgatory, right?
Yeah.
So I think for what's coming for 5 and 6,
which are
hopefully it's just by next episode.
Yeah.
And then by 6, we have a big, finale. This is when I was texting Val and I was like, oh my gosh, this and this could happen. And one of the first things I said to her, I'm like, he's not dead. He's not dead. One, in the comics, Moon Knight himself is immortal.
Yeah.
And so I don't think he's dead. He might be chilling in that puddle.
I don't think he's dead either.
I think he's chilling in that puddle, but in order to resurrect, since Khonshu isn't there to automatically be like, hey, Mark Spector, rise. Mm-hmm. I think this is where you have to have Steven and Mark work together and fight their way out of purgatory.
Yeah, fight, but I think they're also, and I don't know if this is part of, what usually happens with the lore of these gods, because I don't know so much about it. I know what each god is like that I've learned about and read about outside of this world, but do you think that they're going to have to make another deal for their soul to remain being Moon Knight?
I don't know if they'll make another deal.
Okay.
I think what's going to happen, I'm going to reference back to Nicolas Cage's Ghost Rider, the original. Because at the end of the first one, he defeats the main villain. He can give up the spirit of vengeance, but he says, no, I'm going to hang on to this and fight with it. Which I think we might have that situation too, where Mark and Steven are in unison and they're like, you know what? We have to stay this way. It's going to be hard, but we have to. And I'm hoping, guys, that by the end of this series, and we're going to come do a finale recap of this, because there's just probably going to be way too much good stuff to not come back to. I'm really hoping we get a cameo from Blade. My first money is on Blade, because at the end of Eternals, we already have Blade pretty much being the Nick Fury of the Midnight Suns. He's recruiting the Black Knight. So I'm hoping at the end of this, we even get just a few minutes.
We'll get a little Mahershala Ali.
Yeah, our post-credit scene, him showing up, saying, you might have defeated Omnet, or Omnet is loose, whichever, which way it ever is going to go. Because either by the end of this, they're going to stop Harrow, Omnet's Shopti is going to be put in higher security, or they're going to release her. Harrow's going to be the Avatar out in the world somewhere doing something, and that's going to possibly lead us into a Midnight Suns conflict that has to be taken care of. So at some point, though, I want to see Blade show up and be like, all right, am I talking to Steven or Mark?
And then it'll be Jake. No, you're talking to Jake, and then dun dun dun, we meet Jake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be like, who the heck are those guys? But then
Which I'll be
that
really excited because I really like the fact that they are crossing over from, streaming shows, TV shows, to movies with the MCU. I really like that because they get us connected to these people on, streaming or TV, and then they expect us to get connected to a totally different person playing them in movies, and I love how Marvel has not made us do that.
yeah. Or I want to see Johnny Blaze show up.
Either one, I think, would be a good connector.
I think if you're going to project Midnight Suns, we know it's coming. It's going to happen.
Mhm.
I think the two top tier people, it's just like the Avengers. Who are the first two people you think of the Avengers?
I mean,
Captain
Captain America
America,
or Iron
Iron
Man.
Man.
Mhm.
Which I think Blade and Ghost Rider are both the two top tier guys.
And they really need to redo Ghost Rider. I'm sorry,
They
but
will though.
I love Nicolas Cage, but bleh to those
No, yeah.
movies. You can hate mail me on that. I don't care.
So aside from Nick Cage's movies, didn't we've talked about this?
We have.
They think Remus
Mhm.
Regis Norman, whatever, is playing, and I'm on 100% on board with that.
I
So
don't
I'm
know that
saying
I'm on board with that, but we'll
if we
see.
see him pop up and be like, hey, either we got to go fix something or you need to come talk with me and this guy. Like,
Yeah.
so my prediction for the rest of the series is we hopefully see them fight their way or manipulate their way out of purgatory, because that's what I think it is. My
Mhm.
personal judgment call here,
I
they're in
think that's
purgatory.
sound. I think that's I mean, that's totally what it feels like.
I think it all happened. I think when he got shot, the subconsciousness got locked away here. They didn't die because, again, he's immortal.
Mhm.
Even though Khonshu's locked up, I still think he's able to have that ability.
Mhm.
He won't be able to quickly resurrect, but I think they are going to have to fight their way out of it.
Yeah. And
So
I really like that idea. I think fighting the way out of it and then coming to the conclusion that they have to work together and that they have to maintain being Moon Knight for the better good, right? And then we meet, the third, and then we see where it's going, and then the season ends, and then we pop up next season with, the all new characters. Well, him plus, bringing in some of the others.
and there's so much. I think we'll get a fun cameo this October, guys. Like I said, Marvel's planning on doing a
Mhm.
Halloween special, Wolf by Night, which Moon Knight has a lot of involvement with fighting
Mhm.
him,
Yeah.
co-fighting. It'll, pretty much the same opening scene as the Avengers. You have Cap and Thor and Iron Man all fighting, but then it's like, oh no, let's team up. So
Mhm.
it'll be
Uh
something along those lines.
So what's your rating on the series so far?
I'm just gonna give it a solid B.
Yeah, it's still a solid B for me all the way. Again, next week, tomorrow we get the fifth episode. Next week we get the sixth episode, but also next week, next Monday is when I'm getting to see Doctor Strange. So I think, yeah, you can look at me like that. However, so I think what we should do is since we really, broke this down today, I think next week we should talk about how the series ended and what we think for half of the show. But I think the other half of the show, we should get everyone ready for what we think is going to happen for Doctor Strange. It's going to be really hard for me though because I will have seen it and I can't tell you anything because I will be on strict rules not to share anything until the day before the movie comes out.
Bring your
So,
popcorn for that episode.
and then what I would love is for Ty to go and see the movie, and then we can talk full on Doctor Strange the next week, and talk about where it's going to go, how it was, and all that stuff. So, what do you think? Sound good?
Let's do it.
And then after Doctor Strange, I kind of want to jump back into animation for a little bit. So if you guys have an animated, if everyone, listeners, viewers, if you have an animated movie that you would like us to cover, we have a couple weeks to kind of get ready for that. So go ahead and you can message us here. You can also go to our Facebook page or Instagram DMs, message us there. Because we would love to talk about an animated movie that you are that you just love. We do have Lightyear that's going to be coming out soon. So we will talk about that. Plus, we'll have a little special. I'm putting it together a little special something for Lightyear that I'll share with everybody, and Ty will be involved in. Yeah, there's just so much stuff coming. I'm so excited. So thank you so much for tuning in. That is enough for us. Let us know what you thought about Moon Knight. You can tell us right in the comments. Please subscribe to our YouTube page if you haven't. We really need to have enough subscribers so that we can make our name, Multiplane Podcast, our official YouTube page name. Yeah, I think that as soon as June hits, the beginning of June, we should have our pin trading episode. We'll get ready for that. So thanks so much. Anything else you want to leave everybody with, Ty?
Go do some reading if you can. Like, not like you said, don't go deep diving in the internet and just get everyone's, opinion. Like, go in and, because Marvel even has an app that you can get comics through now. Even if you just do 1 month, go do some deep dive on some of these characters that are coming up and that we have, because there's some good stuff coming up, especially with my favorites. It's literally going to be talking about comics and just
why don't you make a top 20 list of comics and or books that will help people along with what is coming and just put it on our Facebook page. Is that cool?
Let's do it.
Awesome. All right, and then hopefully we'll start our tidbits with Ty. This was pretty much the whole episode was that, but we're going to start doing little smaller episodes where Ty just comes in and he's like, "Hey, guess what? Hey, guess what? Hey, guess what? Bye-bye."
Yep, a few minutes of me just being like, "Did you see this? Did you see this? Did you see that?"
All right, everyone, have a great week, and we'll chat with you next week. Bye-bye.
See ya.